Okay, so in the previous class we studied about power, which is defined as the rate of doing work done per unit time. That we call it as power. Okay, and its SI unit is joule per second, which is taken as watt. Okay, this joule per second is taken as watt. Okay, and there are some other practical units also, like horsepower. Okay, generally engines, the power of the engines is measured as horsepower. Okay, and 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watts. Okay, today we'll start with the next topic, energy. Okay, so work and power, two topics we have completed. Now the next is energy. Okay, energy is defined as the ability to do work. The capacity to do work is called as the energy. Okay, so energy and work both have the same units. Okay, energy is the ability to do work or the capacity to do work. Like mechanical energy, whatever mechanical energy you possess, that much mechanical work can be done. So the ability to do work is called as energy. Okay, and its SI unit and the dimensional formula is the same as that of work. So SI unit is, as we know, that of work is joule. So the SI unit of energy is also joule. And the CGS unit is ergs. Okay, now 1 joule of energy, how can we define? If 1 joule of work can be done. Okay, any object, any body is said to possess an energy of 1 joule if it can do 1 joule of mechanical work. Okay, so 1 joule of work done, 1 joule of energy it possesses. Okay, so you may write down 1 joule of energy is defined as 1 joule of energy is defined as when 1 joule of work can be done. When 1 joule of work can be done. Okay, and the dimensional formula will also be the same as that of work. And we know that the dimension of work is force into displacement. ml t raised to the power minus 2 is of force into L ml square t raised to the power minus 2. So we'll have the same dimension as that of work, that is ml raised to the power 2 t raised to the power minus 2. Okay, so the dimensional formula of energy is the same as that of work, that is m L raised to the power 2 t raised to the power minus 2. Okay, now mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is the sum of kinetic and potential energy. Okay, now here we'll discuss mechanical energy. Mechanical energy, if mechanical work can be done, then the energy possessed is called as the mechanical energy. Okay, and mechanical energy is the sum of kinetic and potential energy. Okay, so the sum of kinetic and potential energy is called as the mechanical energy. Okay, now we'll discuss one by one. First the kinetic, then the potential. Okay, kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is due to the motion of an object. Okay, any moving object possesses kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is the energy possessed due to a moving object. Okay, by virtue of the motion of an object, the energy possessed is called as the kinetic energy. Okay, so you can write down kinetic energy is due to the motion of an object. Okay, any moving object possesses kinetic energy. Okay, for example, a car moving on a straight road, as it is in motion, it will possess kinetic energy. Okay, wind blowing. Okay, it is able to run the blades of the turbine. Okay, so in the windmill, it is able to run the blades. Okay, so kinetic energy is due to the motions of the wind. When it is blowing, it also possesses kinetic energy. Flowing water, that also possesses kinetic energy. So these are few examples of kinetic energy. Okay, now let's find out the expression of kinetic energy. Okay, expression of kinetic energy. When suppose a variable force is acting on an object. So whenever the force acts on an object, the body will come in motion, and when it comes in motion, it possesses some energy, and which energy we call it? That energy we call it as the kinetic energy. Okay, now let's find out the expression of the kinetic energy. Okay, let a force F is applied so that the body displaces through a small distance dx. A force is applied and the body is displaced through a small distance. So a small amount of work will be done. Let that small amount of work done is dw. Okay, when a force is applied and the body is displaced through a small distance. How much distance? Let it is equal to dx distance. Okay, so for when force is applied, there is a small displacement dx, so a small amount of work is done, which is equal to F into dx. Okay, now we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. Why? Because force always produces some acceleration. Force is given as mass into acceleration, and acceleration we know is equal to dv upon dt. Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity with time. Okay, now this can be written as m into dx upon dt into dv. Now what is this quantity dx by dt? It is the velocity, the rate of change of displacement. We call it as velocity. So mv into dv is the small amount of work done. Now the total amount of work done. The total amount of work done will be the integration on both the sides. Integration of dw is w, integration of mv into dv. Okay, now here the limits will be of, see the variable is velocity dv. So the limits will be of the velocity. Let initially the body is at rest, that is the initial velocity is 0. Okay, let us assume, or you can take it to be u also. Okay, let at t is equal to 0, the initial velocity is 0, that is the body is at rest. After time t, it acquires a velocity v. So what will be the limits over here? 0 to v, initial to final velocity, that is initial velocity is 0. Okay, now here m can be taken outside. Integration of v into dv, m is constant, can be taken outside the integral sign. Integration of v into dv, we know that integration of x raised to the power n dx is x raised to the power n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So the same way integration of v raised to the power 1 dv will be v raised to the power 1 plus 1 upon 1, that is v square upon 2 in the limits 0 to v. Okay, put the limits, upper limit minus the lower limit in place of this v. Half you can take it outside. Half m v square minus 0 square. Okay, half this 1 by 2 I have taken out, half. Now in place of v, first we'll put the upper limit v square minus 0 square. So the work done is equal to half mv square. Now according to the definition, we know that work done is the energy is the ability to do work. So this work done in displacing the body is equal to its kinetic energy. So this work done is equal to the kinetic energy. Hence the kinetic energy is given by half mv square. So here we have derived the expression of kinetic energy, which is equal to half mv square. So from here we see that kinetic energy depends upon two factors. Mass, greater the mass, greater will be its kinetic energy. Okay, and kinetic energy is a scalar quantity. So here v is the speed. Okay, it's not the velocity. V is the magnitude of the velocity, that is the speed. Okay, so v square, it is kinetic energy. If the body is the same, if the mass is the same, kinetic energy is directly proportional to v square. Okay, suppose the speed of an object is doubled, then the kinetic energy will increase by 4 times. V square, 2 square, that is, it will increase by 4 times. So kinetic energy is depending upon these two factors, mass and the speed. Okay, directly proportional to the mass if the body is moving with a constant speed, and is directly proportional to V square if mass is constant. So the kinetic energy is given by half mv square. Okay, this is the expression for the kinetic energy. Okay, now here one theorem we'll discuss, which is work energy theorem. Okay, so note down this, kinetic energy is given by half mv square. Okay, now before doing that, let's discuss the relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. Okay, because in some of the numericals this will be used, relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. Linear momentum we represent it by P. P is the momentum. Let's find one equation which is relating these two terms. We know that momentum is equal to mass into velocity. Let's square this equation. P square is equal to m square into v square. Okay, divide. We are trying to bring this term to half mv square, kinetic energy. Okay, so that we can relate it with P. So what can be done? Divide it by m on both the sides. Divide by m. P square upon m is equal to mv square. Now what can be done? Multiply by half on both the sides. So P square upon 2m is equal to half mv square. What is this half mv square? This is the kinetic energy. Hence the kinetic energy is equal to P square upon 2m. Okay, so the relation between the kinetic energy and momentum is P square upon 2m. Okay, written. Now write a question. Write down two bodies, m1 greater than m2. Okay, that is they are having their masses m1 and m2. m1 greater than m2 have same linear momentum. Have same momentum. Which body has greater kinetic energy? Which body has greater kinetic energy? The one which is having a mass m1 or the one which is having a mass m2? Yes, you can unmute and can give the answer.
Ma'am, greater one.
Okay.
M2.
Yes. Kinetic energy P is same. So kinetic energy is inversely proportional to the mass. So kinetic energy is inversely proportional to the mass. Why? Because here is given in the question that P is same. So kinetic energy is inversely proportional to the mass. So the one which is having less mass will have a greater kinetic energy. Which is having less mass? M2. So the greater kinetic energy will be of mass m2. Okay, m2 mass will have a greater kinetic energy. So greater kinetic energy is of mass m2. Okay, the same way we can do if they are having the same kinetic energy. Which body has got greater linear momentum? Same question, m1 greater than m2. Okay, but now kinetic energy is the same. So P1 is greater than P2 or P2 is greater than, what sign should I put it over here? Greater or less? Okay, two bodies having different masses, M1 greater than M2, have same kinetic energy. Which body has got greater linear momentum? That is P1 is greater or less than P2. From here you see, yes.
Greater.
P is equal to under root 2m into kinetic energy. P is equal to under root 2m into kinetic energy. Okay, as kinetic energy is same, so P is inversely proportional, P is directly proportional to root of m. Greater the mass, greater is the momentum. So which body? P1 will have greater linear momentum, that is P1 is greater than P2. Okay, now we'll discuss work energy theorem. Okay, write down work energy theorem. First write its statement. Write down, it states that the work done in displacing a body, the work done in displacing a body is equal to change in its kinetic energy, is equal to change in its kinetic energy. Okay, so the work done in displacing a body is equal to change in its kinetic energy. Okay, that is work done is equal to change in the kinetic energy. Change in kinetic energy means the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. Final minus the initial kinetic energy. So this theorem is called as the work energy theorem. Okay, so whenever work is done, mechanical work is done on a body, okay, there will be some change in the kinetic energy. Okay, and this change in kinetic energy is equal to work done, which we call it as the work energy theorem. Okay, this we are going to prove it when a constant force is acting on a body. Okay, two cases here we'll discuss, when a constant force is acting and when a variable force is acting. Okay, the first case will prove it when a constant force is acting on the object. Okay, so proof of this theorem. First one, when constant forces are acting, when force is constant. Okay, so we know that work done is equal to force into displacement. This is the expression for the work done. Work done is equal to force into displacement. Okay, constant force is acting, force is equal to, okay, whenever variable force is there, how we proceed this equation? Small displacement, small work done, total work done, integration of it. Okay, that is for a variable force. Force is constant, F is mass into acceleration into displacement. Okay, now from third equation of motion, we know that v square minus u square is equal to 2as. Third equation of motion is v square minus u square is equal to 2as. Okay, these are the equations when the constant. You can find out the acceleration from here. From here, the acceleration is v square minus u square upon 2s. V square minus u square upon 2s. Substitute it over here. M into v square minus u square upon 2s into s. S and s cancels out. This can be written as half mv square minus half mu square. That is the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. So work done is equal to, what is this half mv square? Final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. So work done is equal to the change in the kinetic energy, and this theorem we call it as work energy theorem. Okay, when a constant force is acting. Okay, now when a variable force is acting, the same way as we have derived the equation of the formula of kinetic energy, the same way we will proceed, only the limits we can change. Initial velocity to final velocity, u to v. Okay, so we start from the same equation. This is when force is variable. F is variable. Work done, small amount of work will be done when the small displacement dx is there. Total amount of work done, F into dx. Okay, first we'll substitute force as mass into acceleration, and acceleration is equal to dv upon dt. dx upon dt is velocity. So what do we get? mv into dv. Okay, so in place of force, we can write it as mv into force into dx can be written as mv into dv. Okay, now the limits. Let initially it's moving with a velocity u, and after time t it acquires a velocity v. Okay, so hurry up, proceed it. What do you get? M into v square upon 2 in the limits u to v, final upper limit minus the lower limit. What do you get? Half mv square minus half mu square, which is the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. So again we get the same expression. Work done is equal to the change in its kinetic energy, and this theorem is called as work energy theorem. Okay, so note it down. We have proved the work energy theorem when a constant force is applied and when a variable force is applied. Okay, in both the cases, what do we see? Work done is equal to change in its kinetic energy. Okay, change in its kinetic energy means final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. Okay, and this theorem we call it as work energy theorem. Okay, now the next is potential energy. Okay, as we know that we have studied that mechanical energy is the sum of kinetic and potential energy. So kinetic energy is due to the motion of the object. We have derived the expression of kinetic energy, which is half mv square. Okay, then work energy theorem we have studied. Work energy theorem states that the work done is equal to change in its kinetic energy. For constant force also, it is final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy, as well for the variable force. Okay, next write down potential energy. Okay, how is potential energy defined? It is due to the position or due to the change in the configuration of the object. Due to the change in position or due to the change in configuration. The energy possessed, we call it as the potential energy. So write down. Potential energy is defined as by virtue of the position or configuration of the object. By virtue of position or configuration of the object. Okay, now here we'll discuss two types of potential energies. Okay, first few examples of potential energy. A body lifted to a height h above the surface of the earth. Some work is done. Okay, this work will be stored in the form of potential energy. So a body at a height h above the surface of earth has potential energy. Okay, now here the body will be at rest. Or for example, when you stretch or compress a spring, okay, the stretched or compressed spring also possesses some energy. Okay, whenever work is done on the object, that work will be stored in the form of potential energy. Okay, here the body will be at rest. Like in kinetic energy also, the work done is equal to the change in kinetic energy, or it is equal to kinetic energy. Okay, there the body is in motion. Body is moving, then the work done will be equal to the kinetic energy. Here work is already done on the object and now the body is at rest. Okay, then it possesses potential energy. Why? Because whatever amount of work is done on the object, that work will be stored in the form of potential energy. For example, if you are lifting any stone or any object to a height h above the surface of earth, so in doing so you are doing some work. Okay, and that work done will be stored in the form of potential energy. So any body which is at a height h above the surface of the earth possesses some energy. That energy we call it as the potential energy. Okay, when you are stretching or compressing a spring, then also some work is done on the spring, and that work done, once it is compressed or once it is stretched, that energy will be, that work done will be stored in the form of potential energy. Okay, so a stretched or a compressed spring, that also possesses potential energy. So what are the examples? Okay, a body at a height h, a body at a height above the surface of the earth, a body at a height above the surface of the earth. Okay, other examples are compressed or stretched spring, compressed or stretched spring. Okay, the stretched bow. Okay, arrow and bow, you must have played. So the arrow is released. So you have to stretch the string of the bow. Okay, that energy, some work will be done and that energy will be stored in the form of potential energy. Okay, so these are some of the examples of potential energy. Now two types of potential energies here we'll discuss. The first one is gravitational potential energy and the second one is elastic potential energy. Okay, gravitational potential energy, any body lifted through a height h will possess some energy. That energy we call it as gravitational potential energy. So it is due to the position above the surface of the earth. Okay, so gravitational potential energy is due to the position of the object above the surface of the earth. So you can write down gravitational, the first one, gravitational potential energy. Okay, it is due to the height, it is due to the height above the surface of the earth, due to the height above the surface of the earth. Now let's find out the expression of gravitational potential energy. Okay, let a body is lifted through a height h above the surface of the earth. Mass of the object is m. Okay, so the work done is force into displacement. Which force? Here the gravitational force will be there. Gravitational force is the weight of the object. Gravitational force is the weight of the object into the displacement. What is the displacement over here? H height it is reached. And the gravitational force is given by m into g. M into g into h is the work done. This work done will be stored in the form of gravitational potential energy. Okay, so this work done is equal to the potential energy. Hence the potential energy, which you can represent it by U. Okay, generally the potential energy is represented by U. Kinetic energy is represented by K. Okay, so this work done is stored in the form of potential energy. Okay, and hence the potential energy is given by mg into h. So the potential energy is given by mgh. So from this expression you see that the potential energy depends upon mass of the object. More the mass, more will be its potential energy. G is constant near the surface of the earth. The acceleration due to gravity is constant. And it is also depending upon the height. More the height, more potential energy will be stored in that object. More gravitational potential energy will be there in the object. Okay, so complete the writing work by the time I'll take your attendance.